Now, we've been talking about the fact that Pep Guardiola has decided to go to Germany and manage Bayern Munich for 3 years, starting in July. This is how the club in Munich have reacted to his decision. This is from Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, famous German international, Bayern Munich player, and now on the board there. He says, we have to accept and respect the decision of Jupp Heynckes. He's the current manager. He says he's leaving in the summer, and we're happy to be able to appoint in his place such a football expert as Pep Guardiola, especially as he received offers from a lot of famous clubs. He is one of football's most successful coaches, and we're delighted he will be in charge of our team on a contract that will run until June 2016. Let's speak to James. He's a German-based football journalist and can tell us a little bit more about this decision. James, good evening. How has this news been greeted in Germany?
I think it's been greeted with a lot of good receptions, really, just in terms of the fact that Bayern Munich fans are nice. You know, they're happy to hear that the situation has been resolved. I think they're excited to see what Pep Guardiola is going to bring to the club, and obviously with the rumours that have been floating about the last couple of days, I think they're just glad to hear the official confirmation from the club now.
Why do you think that he's chosen to go to Bayern Munich?
Well, I mean, there are several ways you can look at it, but I think if you compare Bayern Munich and Barcelona in terms of two clubs that are steeped in tradition, history of success as well, and also the way they operate as a club, really, for me, it makes perfect sense with Pep Guardiola. Bayern Munich, obviously, and I mean, it's not just Bayern Munich, it's German football in general right now. The promotion of youth that's taken place over the last decade is something I'm sure that will have attracted Pep Guardiola. Bayern Munich obviously have several starting lineup players that have been produced from their own academy, and Pep Guardiola will be looking at that thinking similar to what he had at Barcelona in terms of the way he was able to focus purely on managing the team on the pitch. And I think that certainly will have been a big swaying point in him going to Bayern Munich. And obviously the Bundesliga right now is really starting to emerge as a very exciting league, and I think he would have wanted to be a part of that.
James, Bayern Munich, it looks like they're nailed on to win the Bundesliga. I think they're 9 points in front, aren't they? If they go on to win the Champions League, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, where does Pep Guardiola go from there?
Well, I think he just continues the progress that's been seen over the last 2 years under Jupp Heynckes. Obviously, he's going to step aside at the end of the season, looks to retire. He's 67 years old, so it does make sense. And this Pep Guardiola deal does sound like it's been wrapped up for a while, so he's going to have a lot of time to prepare his thoughts in terms of what he wants to do with this team. But even if you go further back past Jupp Heynckes, you had Louis van Gaal in charge before that. And obviously these are two managers that operate with a similar philosophy to Pep Guardiola in the way they like their players to run a lot, and you know the work ethic is demanded of them. At the same time, they like to play free-flowing attacking football. So I think Pep Guardiola has all the tools at his disposal at Bayern Munich to be a real success, and it's just about him going in there and maintaining the progress that's been made under the last two managers.
What about the reaction from the rest of Germany, apart from Munich? Has it been, oh no, not again?
No, if anything, there's been a really good reaction. Obviously, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, as you said, was quoted as saying it's a great thing for Bayern Munich, but also for the Bundesliga as a whole. And you've even had Dortmund's CEO, Hans-Joachim Watzke, coming out and saying, congratulating on Bayern Munich on getting their man in Pep Guardiola, which I think is something you wouldn't necessarily see in the Premier League. So German football, I think, as a whole is going to benefit from it, and they're already, you know, voicing their opinions that they are ready to accept the positive news that Pep Guardiola is going to be in the league next year.
What about Klopp at Borussia Dortmund? Is there any sort of signs that he might be leaving there and coming to the Premier League?
I don't think so. I think Klopp is a man who right now bleeds the Bundesliga. You know, he lives and breathes it all day, and Dortmund especially as well. And the project he's undertaken at Dortmund has been such success. You know, we've seen their form in Europe this season, and really it is down to his managerial abilities. If anything, I think the most likely destination for Jurgen Klopp in the next couple of years is potentially as the head coach of the national team. But for now, I think Dortmund is where his heart lies, and he's going to be there for a while because he really enjoys working with that squad. It's such a young squad, such a talented squad, and really, you know, he'd be a fool to walk away from that right now, I think.
James, everybody knows that German football is on the up and up. The crowds are great and all that. Can I just ask you a question? Do you happen to know, we had this big story last weekend that Manchester City fans handing back their tickets at Arsenal, £62 for a ticket. They said that was far too much. What would be the most expensive ticket for an away fan in Germany, say?
Well, I mean, for instance, if I were to take Bayern Munich's match this weekend against Greuther Fürth, the Fürth fans, you know, for a standing seat, they're looking to probably pay about €15. You know, the most expensive then would probably be around about €50 for like the top category seats and things like that. So, you know, ticket prices are certainly one of the things that people focus on when they talk about the positives of the Bundesliga. I think the fan experience as a whole, really incorporating obviously the ticket prices, is what is also attractive to people like Pep Guardiola, because you know, the quotes we heard about him talking about the Premier League, saying how he loved that the fans stuck with their teams through thick and thin. They were always on their team's side. A lot of that is relatable to the Bundesliga as well. And so really, you know, the Bundesliga, as you say, is certainly going places. It's emerging as a really exciting league. I think maybe the one place it falls short of the Premier League right now is the average amount of top quality players. But if people like Pep Guardiola are looking at this league and thinking it's attractive, top quality players are soon going to be starting to, you know, join the Bundesliga and move over here as well.
It's ironic, isn't it, that the FA released an interview on their own television network saying, with Guardiola, I'd love to come to England one day. I didn't get to play there. Maybe I can coach there. And then 2 hours later, he pops up saying, I've joined Bayern Munich.
No, it certainly was. And I mean, obviously, I think he does at some point want to manage in England. But right now, the Bundesliga is starting to attract big names in Pep Guardiola. And so for him, it would have just been an attractive project as a whole to work with Bayern Munich. Obviously, a team that are built for success, let's say. You know, they've been turned back into a powerhouse. They've got that 9-point lead at the top of the Bundesliga. It wouldn't be unfathomable that they went very far in the Champions League. I question whether they'll win it. I think, you know, they might fall just short once again. But Pep Guardiola could be that man to take them up to the next level. And really, the Bundesliga as a whole, just from the infrastructure, its financial stability, the fan experience, really is a thriving league right now, and understandable that Pep Guardiola would like to be a part of that.